Hello guys, welcome to GameJonez. I am Tiberius Jonez, and today we are going to talk about screen capture and recording software. And the reason I'm doing this is because I am trying to take my YouTube game to the next level, and I'm sure many of you are trying to do the same thing. And so this is a subject that is important if that's what you're going to do. And so I just ordered a new webcam and a mic that's going to come next week, and so software is the next logical step that I need to really have accomplished and figured out before that stuff arrives, hopefully. So I spent the last 24 hours researching, reading about what other YouTubers that are successful are using for software, and I've looked at several different options, and I'm here to tell you about what I think I have found is, at least for a while, going to be what I'm going to try to use, and that is Open Broadcaster software. Now, Open Broadcaster software you can download for free. This is the interface here. You can go and just Google it, which I trust you guys know how to use Google, but I will show you just because, hey, this is what we're about, right? We're showing each other how to do stuff. So, there's my handsome mug. Ha ha ha. Open Broadcaster. So there you go, Broadcaster software. It's completely free, so just go. You can do multi-platform. Choose that. Get the latest release. Blah 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 blah. You gotta check on the yes, I understand. The license agreement. Blah 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 blah. Pick your flavor. Download it. Once you download it and you open it, you are going to get this here. Now, when you open this, you're not going to see any of this. Obviously, it's just going to be a blank window, and I will go ahead and run through the settings with you real quick. Now, the settings took me a few minutes to figure out on my own because it doesn't come with any directions out of the box. There may be if you go into the help menu. I don't know. I just went ahead and stumbled around until I figured it out, and even with that, it didn't take very long. So I think that's a good indication of good software. If you can kind of get into the menus and just figure it out on your own, then to me that's always a good sign. So I was able to accomplish that with only a couple of fumbles along the way, which I will share with you in just a moment. So when you come in initially, the things that you have to set up are these. Come into settings, general tab. There's nothing here to change. This stays with the defaults. In encoding, you are probably going to want to come in here, and this use CBR is going to be checked, and this quality balance will be set by default to the number 8. Now, if you are okay with 8, that's probably going to be fine for most people. 8 is the quality setting here. I took it to 9 just because I have a strong CPU and graphics card, so why not go for a little higher quality is always my feeling. The more quality you can get and it still run well, that's what you want to do. And you can kind of play with these settings, try it out, see what your result is, and if you can step it up to a higher quality. Really, I mean, you want to go with the best quality you can, and whatever suits your needs, basically. For max bit rate, this is going to be set by default at 1000. 5000 is going to be fine for many people. Again, I went with 10,000 because I'm going for quality. For buffer size, this helps with your read ahead, and so as you can see here, I mean, what I like is if you hover over these boxes, it tells you what each of them does, and basically this is going to help with your frame rates, especially in high motion scenes, which is what it's telling you there. So by default, if you're not sure what to set it to, at least set it to the equal amount of your bit rate. So if you're going to set this to 10,000, then you want to have this set to at least 10,000. I went ahead and set it to 15,000 just to give myself a little extra room for my CPU to be able to do what it needs to do. I'm running an AMD FX 8350 8-core processor, so that's a really good multitasking processor. So for me, my buffer size, I think I can do that and get away with it, and I'm not going to have any issues. Depending on what you have, you may or may not have issues. So again, play around with it and see what you like. Bit rate by default is 192. I put it up to 320 because, again, I want quality. For broadcast settings, you are going to want to change these settings to the default menu, or default folder rather, that you want to output to. For the replay buffer, I just set it as the same as my output folder for my actual videos. Just seemed like the simplest thing to do. File output is going to be dependent on what you're doing. Today we are doing just a hard copy video. I'm not live streaming. Those are your options. You can either be doing a live stream or a file output. Today we're doing a file output because I'm going to get an actual video, I'm going to edit it, and then I'm going to upload it to YouTube. most of you are going to be doing that as well. If you have a Twitch stream or something like that, then you're going to choose live stream, obviously. Pretty self-explanatory. The other thing is these boxes here, they default to the file type of .flv. For YouTube, my understanding is you're going to want to use MP4 because that's the default file format for YouTube anyway. Plus, I like MP4s in general, so I switched this to MP4. I'm assuming you're going to want to do the same. For video settings, and by the way, if this is confusing you, I'm hitting no on all these because I've already changed all my settings and I don't want to be changing what I've already done here. So for video, you have to choose your default video card. For me, it's my R9. I would suggest that you go with your base resolution of your monitor. Mine is by default 1360 by 768. I have a 720p Vizio TV that I run for my monitor, and so this is the default resolution. Then for the actual what you're outputting, you can downscale that from there if you want. I'm going to go ahead and go with the native because, again, I want to be at least 720p, and that's my default anyway, so it's going to run really well. So I'm going with the default. Again, choose whatever you like. Frames per second, however, is going to be an important setting that you want to be aware of. For most things, 30 frames is going to be more than sufficient. However, if you are going to be doing anything with slow motion capturing or slow motion effects in your video, then make sure that you do pick 60 frames because otherwise slow motion effects are not going to look right when you go to edit them. So that's something to definitely be aware of for frames per second. For audio, make sure that you select the correct output devices, otherwise you're not going to hear audio. So for me, my default audio is speakers out, and then my microphone that I'm using is my headset, which is this here. So make sure you do choose those, otherwise everything else here, again, these are the defaults. I didn't change any of these. You can go ahead and customize all your hotkeys for starting and stopping streams, starting and stopping recording, buffer, so forth and so on. Also for your mic that you're recording in during your recording, I'm not going to use push to talk because I've got enough stuff going on with my hands and my controller and everything that I don't want to have to worry about push to talk. However, you know, like when menus are loading or like if the game is loading, I don't want to have you guys listening to my breathing because oh, that's just oh so sexy. Yeah, I'm sure you want to hear that. So I do want to be able to mute the mic, and so I did at least set that one. Go ahead and set these however you would like. Advanced menu. The only thing I changed here was initially when I came in and ran an initial test, as I was trying to figure out if everything was working, I was having a lot of, well, not a lot, but I was having some drop frames in the game, and it wasn't bad by any means, but I just wanted to see if changing this processor priority class from normal to above normal would help that situation, and so I'm curious to see as we get in here into the game if that makes any difference. So again, these are all settings that you can play with and see what works for you. Everything else here I left the same. These are all the default settings. CPU preset very fast. This at high for encoding. All this stuff is as it was when I came in. Quick sync encoder, didn't touch any of this stuff. Same for microphone. This is all the default settings, and based on what I'm seeing here for my levels, it looks good. It's not bouncing off the top, so this should be sounding good and shouldn't be distorting or anything like that. I'm assuming as long as I don't yell into the mic, it's going to be fine. So the key thing is once you record to listen to your video, obviously make sure that you are clear over whatever game audio is happening. My biggest thing I know with past recording software has been that most of the time the game audio is super loud, and you usually have to go into the games menus and crank the game audio way down. So well, I'm curious to see if that's the case here. So that's all the settings for that. Now the other thing that took me a minute to figure out, and this is a little confusing, is how you actually get this going. Because when you come in after you do that, this is going to be just a black screen here. You're not going to see any of this stuff, and these boxes here will also be empty. So to get this going, you have to start out by selecting a scene and then the sources for that scene. So when you come in, if you're selecting a new scene, you would right click in here, hit add scene. You can name your scene whatever you want to do. For mine, I picked, you know, these choices here, but we'll just say that I'm going to go with scene 2. Then you have to choose a source. So now you see for this particular preset that we've just picked, there's no source selected, so we're back to the black screen. So for my first source, I'm going to choose monitor capture, which is the entire monitor. So monitor capture is essentially everything that I am clicking on. So basically, this should capture anything that I am mousing over. So whatever my mouse sees, essentially this is going to record. So theoretically, my understanding was that wherever my mouse goes, this is where this is going to record. So that's that. And then for window capture, this is a trick that I found out was, well, actually, let me back up. So the next thing is when you want to add your game to do the game capture, you do game capture. You can name this whatever the game is that you're playing, which I did. In these, I have them named as AC Unity for today. But you can name it whatever you want, and then you're going to come into this menu, and this drop down here will be blank because you've just started this software and you haven't started a game yet, so there's nothing in here that this is detecting at this point. So when you come in, you're going to choose the source of your game that you want to do. You'll have to Alt-Tab out of here, go start your game. Once the game's fired up, then Alt-Tab back into here, hit the refresh button, and then you'll see your game's exe here. It automatically detects it. Once it does, you can get and hit the OK button. If you want to change any of these settings, you can. I haven't changed any of these. These are still at the default that they were. And then when you Alt-Tab back into here, or once you hit OK rather, it will then show the game in here. So as you can see, it's now showing the game. Then lastly, you have to select window capture. Now this is key because what happened was when I had come in here before, I had monitor capture and game capture, and I thought that was going to be enough. I thought that that was going to capture everything that I was doing in the monitor. Essentially, like I said, anywhere that my mouse went, it was going to capture that and the game, and I figured that was all I needed to have. Well, what happened was when I started the video the first time, I'm sitting there and I'm talking to you guys, and I'm in the game, and everything's going fine as far as I can tell, because as I was playing, what I was seeing while I was recording was, hey, I'm in the game, I'm talking to you, I Alt-Tab out to the desktop, everything's functioning as far as I can tell, and everything looks fine. I go back into the game, and again, everything seems normal to me. Well, when I stopped the video and I came in and I checked out what actually happened in the video, what it recorded was basically just the game. So it was recording my audio the whole time, and I heard myself talking, and it's describing to you guys how I'm in the desktop talking about these settings, but you wouldn't have seen any of it. All you would have seen was the screen of the game, the pause menu. And so I was like, okay, what the hell. So it took me a minute to realize that you have to have all three of these windows selected. So you do have to choose window capture, and then basically I didn't even choose what this was. I just left it for this, and then I don't know if you have to choose capture layered windows. Let's see what this says actually. Capture skinned or transparent custom. Okay, yeah, that's for like the arrow setting. Okay, so if you have a problem capturing a specific window, you may want to click this to make sure that it captures whatever window that you're trying to get into. Compatibility mode. It's not telling me what that does, so I'm not sure. But anyway, once I came in and I had enabled window capture and I tried it again, then everything functioned the way it was supposed to. So then I was able to come in, talk to you in the game, talk in the desktop, and any window in between, and it was capturing everything, and the resultant video also showed everything. So I was like, hey, I figured it out. So make sure that when you are doing a video where you want to be able to show multiple sources, the desktop, the game, and the window, that you have all three of these selected: window, game, and monitor. Hugely important. So now once you have this, you can, I'm not going to stop the recording obviously because I'm talking to you, but before you start the recording, this preview stream is going to be a live button just like this, and you can click preview stream and it will show you what your recording would look like. So you can test to make sure that this is all working, and had I known that the first time about that problem, I could have been in here looking at preview and been alt tabbing out, and the screen, this window here, would have kept changing had I been paying attention. So yeah, I didn't know that at the time though. So anyway, because as you can see in here, here's my actual window that's recording with the recording. As I alt tab out, if you watch this window down here, this is what I'm actually seeing in the recording window. As I move around, it's changing appropriately to each screen, so I now know that this is working the way it's supposed to. So there you go. So those are all the settings that you have to be aware of. Then just go ahead and hit whatever your default button is, or that you set for recording, and go ahead and start recording and you're on the way. So now what I want to look at is how is the performance. Now the reason I chose this to look at this software in the first place was I was looking for a few key factors for what I was looking for. Ease of use was a big one. Again, I was able to come in here, kind of stumble around into the menus and figure out what I had to do. So that to me shows that the ease of use is favorable for this. Second thing was CPU footprint. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Fraps. Fraps is a hugely popular video capture software that has a huge CPU footprint, and what happens is when you go to record stuff like this and then you enable Fraps, it just kills your game performance, especially on a game like this. You know, Assassin's Creed Unity is a hugely demanding CPU and graphics hog anyway. Then you add something like Fraps on top of it, and it just suddenly it runs like crap. So I mean, do you really want to have that happening during your game? Probably not. So as you can see, you know, it is what it is. So you're a dead man. So what I'm looking for here is in the game, am I having a lot of dropped frames? When I check out the output video, how does my audio sound? So the mic over the ambient game sounds, the music. I want to go find a crowded place so that I can hear a little bit louder area of the game and make sure that my mic does sound the way it's supposed to be. Again, in the past when I've tried other software for this, I've always had to really crank down the game audio to get it to work right. Now I know, because I have already tested this before I came in, that the audio on this is actually really good, and I did not have to turn down the game audio, so I was very happy to see that. With default settings the way they were, I came in and the audio sounded really good, so I was very happy with that. And this is with just my headset microphone, so I'll be curious to see what it sounds like when I get my new mic next week for doing videos then. Oh, get it!
See how you do without your face. No. Don't I see your side of it now?
Bad guys. Ah, kill the bad guys. I like saving people. So what I'm feeling, just to give you an idea, is as far as input, I don't feel much lag, so it doesn't seem to be affecting the performance of the game at this point. At least not bad. A little bit of drop frames, so I'm having a little bit of impact as far as frames per second, but nothing bad. And I mean, this game doesn't run all that great anyway, and you know, again, it's a huge CPU hog, and we are capturing from 3 different sources as well. So playing this game, plus the software is capturing from window, from the entire desktop, and from the game all at the same time. So that's a lot of stuff going on, and this is still running pretty darn well. And just so you know, I have the game, all the settings and the graphics here are maxed out. So we're playing this at maximum quality settings across the board. So, you know, go big or stay home, right? So there you go. So far this seems really good. So what else to say about this? Installation was a breeze. Figuring out the couple little problems I had wasn't too hard. Everything else seems really good. So I am definitely going to keep trying this out for a couple of days with a couple other videos, a couple other programs, and see if I have any other issues. And then if I do, I will add more to this video. But for now, I think that's pretty much it. So I would definitely suggest, if you're looking for some software, Open Broadcaster software is free. From what I had read from other people, the only other software that is comparable with this that has the combination of functionality, so all the options as far as customizability that this has, combined with the small CPU footprint, was DxTory, which is DxTory, but that is not free. In fact, it's very expensive. It goes for $300. So if you want to drop 3 bills on some software, go ahead and try DxTory. I am not in a position to drop $300 on software to record, so that wasn't even an option for me. And I'm glad I wasn't, because I don't think that's going to be necessary anyway. This seems perfectly fine to me. You know, again, you have to play with this and see what you think. But that's it. Off the top, I would say Open Broadcaster software is definitely one to try out to start with, see how you like it, and then make a final determination when you've had time to play with it. And go from there. Let's finish this fight and get stuff. They kill your lousy French accent. Ma Dios, piccola camarista chevalier. Ha ha ha.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Alright guys, so that's Open Broadcaster software. Now, what I would say at this point is, really like the software, and once my camera comes, the Logitech C920, and the microphone, which is the Blue Snowball Ice version that we ordered. Once those come, I am going to do a video review of those combined with this software, and I am going to stick with the Open Broadcaster software for now, because one of my main philosophies is when it comes to this kind of stuff, video capturing in particular, this is really intensive stuff, and when it comes to this and your video editing software, you want to really find something that works for you, stick with it for a while, so that you can get your process down, because the bottom line is, once you get a process down and it gets faster and faster and more efficient, you're going to be able to crank out more material and just get more stuff up on YouTube. And that's really the whole point of this, is to be able to generate material and content. So if you're not generating content, you're not generating visits, and you're really going nowhere. So that's why we're all doing this, right? Is to have people watch our stuff. So it's all about content, man. So again, I really suggest find something, even if you're not sure if it's going to be what you end up settling on, give it a good test run. Give it some time, see if it really is going to work for you. Now, I mean, if you try something and right away God, this is shit, obviously, then move on to the next thing. But, this looks really promising, so I'm going to give this a full run, try it for probably, the next at least 2 weeks. Do some content with it, see how I really like it, and then make a final determination at that point. So there you go. Open Broadcaster software. Everybody, I am Tiberius Jonez. Thanks again for stopping by. If you found this video helpful or you enjoyed it for any reason, please hit the like button as always, and I hope I will see you on the other side. I am out, everybody. Have a good one.